Mother can't handle walking away. My mother and I have been through a lot. We've had multiple phases of our relationship being rocky, and this year it's only been getting worse and worse. The beginning of the summer, I gave her the ultimatum of we're not able to work through this all on our own anymore. We need a therapist, and the boundary that she's not allowed to say things that invalidate my experience, like I never did that or that didn't happen. Yesterday, my mom does one of these things she does, where she says I'm going to tell you something that you probably won't like to hear. This time, it's a familiar one. I feel like you don't care about contributing to the household because you won't give me your school grant money that's left over after your tuition is paid. I shut the fuck up, 'cause we've had this conversation 5 times. It's not worth me telling her the same things I always tell her for a fight to break out. So I leave it and I walk away. Then, less than an hour later, she's like, I have something else I want to say. At which point I tell her no. I tell her I don't want to talk. I don't want to repeat the same conversation we've had. She pushes me and I blow up a little. She expresses that she thinks she's had an epiphany as to why she's feeling the way she does. I say, okay, I'm sorry I blew up a bit there, let me calm down for a minute. We go on to have a fairly productive conversation until I trigger her. The reason I'm putting those quotation marks in there is not because I don't think triggers are real or any of that stuff, but rather because this particular trigger is any description of her behavior as being negative. Words that are banned because of this trigger are as follows: yell, shout, scream, snap, snarl, gripe, complain, criticize, raise your voice, nasty, mean, loud, tense, angry. We were having a productive conversation about appreciation and the ability to show it. She was talking about how she wishes I would do work in front of her or talk to her about how she looks tired, etc. I was expressing the fact that I have taught myself never to do these things because some of the time it's the wrong thing to do, and she screams at me. Obviously, I didn't say that because I was dancing around the trigger words, but you get my drift. I believe my exact sentence was, you can have a negative reaction, snap, or yell at me, or just be upset. Her reaction to this trigger is always resorting to dismissing what I am telling her and telling me it didn't happen. This is really hard for me to hear from you right now, because I haven't yelled at you for years. We had a fight at the beginning of the summer that led to me giving her that ultimatum about finding a therapist, in which I finally managed to meet all of her requirements of me regulating my behavior and walked away appropriately, even though she was screaming bloody murder at me from the kitchen as I was going down the stairs. So I walked away, as I told her I would every time she invalidates my experience. We didn't talk for the rest of that day. Today, people are sleeping in. I see on my phone she had to go out at 2 a.m. to help the family friend. So, I take care of the dogs. I'm finishing getting my breakfast in the kitchen when suddenly everyone else in the household is present. My mother says thank you for feeding the dogs, and I want to be nasty to her. I'm frustrated about the day before, and I'm angry at her, and resentful that she can go out of her fucking way to help this random kid, but she doesn't care enough about our relationship to manage her own triggers. So, I don't say anything. I ignore her, and I take my food, and I leave. I don't trust myself enough in that moment to say anything nice, so I don't say anything. Not immediately, but within the next 5 minutes, she comes down to my room to ask me if I'm not speaking to her. I say no, I'm not. She says, why not? And I say I'm feeling angry right now. This is unacceptable to her. She's telling me that why could I possibly be angry? It went so well. Everyone did great. She's standing in my doorway, trapping me in my room, trapping me in this conversation, demanding an explanation for why I feel the way I'm feeling and why I chose to not engage with her. I did my best to stay as calm as I could and communicate clearly about what I was feeling and why, but nothing I said was acceptable to her. It wasn't okay that I felt angry because of her actions. It wasn't okay that I felt frustrated that she's unable to even try to manage her triggers. It wasn't okay that I'm upset that I'm always the one that has to remove myself from the situation. And she's standing there, glaring at me, asking me to calm down. I have no way to walk away. She has trapped me in my room, in this conversation, and is repeatedly telling me that nothing happened. I have to scream bloody murder at her that she needs to leave in order to get her out of my doorway and get out of the fucking conversation. She's allowed to tell me anytime I'm too loud, or I sound angry, or I'm shouting, or I'm screaming, or anything. She's allowed to tell me that I'm invalidating her feelings anytime that she wants to, or that I need to calm down or walk away. But she never walks away. She never manages her triggers, or treats me with the fucking baseline respect of assuming that I'm not lying to make her look bad. I'm so fucking sick of this. She thinks she's entitled to my emotional support of her at any point in time, without regards what I'm thinking or feeling, and she's entitled to say whatever the fuck she wants about my behavior. But if I ever criticize her, I'm the bad guy, and nothing happened. She never apologizes for her behavior. She never makes amends. And she never changes her behavior. She thinks she's entitled to my constant improvement without putting any effort into our relationship. I wish to God I didn't have to live here. My life is the best it's been in a long time, and she seems dead fucking set on making sure that the beginning of my semester is a fucking nightmare. I am so close to being able to take on an actual career and actually break free of this shit. I'm about to get a goal I've been working for so long to reach. She doesn't see that she's burning these bridges between us by refusing to even try to improve our relationship.
How do you deal with immature/controlling parents? I'm 28 years old, so I no longer live at home. Every time I go and visit my parents, which is maybe a couple times per month, I feel so drained. Throughout my entire life, so many things have happened that have caused this. I always hope that when I visit them, they will have changed and grown up, but it's always the same stuff. The latest, for example, was that they don't like my brother's partner. My mom said she is selfish because she doesn't want to invest in land with my brother, so that they can live on the same property with my parents. I stated that I wouldn't want to do that either because of independence reasons, and it's a big thing. I also feel like decisions like that should be discussed between my brother and his partner. My parents don't have a lot of money, my mom or my dad doesn't work, so I think they are expecting my brother to help them in some way. Anyway, they were speaking so badly about her. It just reminded me of high school bullies, and I felt so embarrassed by it, especially because my partner was there and mentioned how disgusting the conversation was. They also treat my brother differently to my sister and I. He gets everything he wants. I paid for him to do his study for the job that he is in now, and I never even got a thank you. Mom thinks he is everything even though he speaks to them so rudely and doesn't help out at all. Whenever Mom needs money, it is me she asks, but my brother is in a higher paying job and still lives at home and doesn't get asked at all. My mom and dad have a pretty terrible relationship. They have never been out on a date, and my dad doesn't really do anything to help my mom. My mom snaps at him all the time. Whenever I am visiting and my dad just joins in on the conversation, she yells at him. My parents never end up liking any of mine or my siblings' partners. They do at first, but when our partners aren't constantly running around for them, they get labeled lazy. My sister's partner couldn't even rest and play games for a bit, because life doesn't stop just because you've finished work. My parents like my partner now, but that's because they've realized I'm staying with him, and I ignored all their attempts at trying to break us up. When I broke up with my ex and told my mom about all the horrible stuff he put me through, she replied with, "What do you want me to do?" Then continued to post her support for him on his Facebook page even after I got into a new relationship. One of my sister's friends was staying with them and then wanted to move in with me as it was easier to get to work. I said that was okay because she's like family. Then my mom messaged saying she feels like she's been kicked in the face and didn't want me to come over for her birthday. Every time we do something big like move out or go overseas, she makes me feel bad about myself. Both my mom and dad think anyone who doesn't think the same as them or disagrees is an idiot. They can't keep friends because they basically keep people around to get things out of them. If the friend disagrees with something, then that's the end of the friendship. I got kicked out of home because my partner rides motorbikes, and they threatened him and said that if I ever get on it, they would get a gang to beat him up. When I confronted them, they kicked me out. They had lied about the whole situation because they had literally helped me pick out a helmet and encouraged me to go on the bike before this happened. There is so much more that happens. I've confronted my mom about it a few times, but each time, she says that she is sorry, she is such a terrible mom, and that basically she wants to kill herself. I feel guilty and say sorry because I hate the thought of her doing that, and then everything goes back to the way it was. It's exhausting. I just need to know how to go around there and not bring it home with me. I'm a bit of an empath, so I struggle with it not getting to me. when you want them to apologize to someone else. My dad and my sister have had an argument, and I'm trying to stay out of it while also indicating that I think he ought to ring her and apologize. I've given up directly intervening when there is conflict between them. I'm pregnant and I already had a crying argument with him a few months ago explaining how I can't deal when he creates tension, especially not now. So he should know that I'm not going to go there directly. So he's being extra nice to me, all these lovely thinking of you texts. I'm trying to gray rock my replies, but I'm really not going out of my way to engage until he addresses the situation with her. I'm sure that he'd only use my pleasantness as some kind of proof that he's actually in the right. So I feel my only option is to stay frosty and keep him guessing. Feels awful. But I can foresee no way it will work out for me to tell him what to do. I've learned from experience. I suppose this is more than a rant than a request for advice. It's just so tiring to be caught in the mind games of a 65-year-old who can't admit he has caused upset. You are my kids. I can give you cancer if I want. Didn't think that I would be posting here, but I need help. My mom has apparently been on a 37-year period and has dreaded the fact that she had me, 15M, and my brother, 9. So much that she has been yelling, assaulting, and trying to purposefully off me and my brother by smoking and vaping around us. She has only seen me as a slave to her work because I basically have to be the real parent since I have had to take care of my brother at home while having to go to a terrible school and try to balance both of my lives at once. She has recently told me to get off her case about her vaping, and she said, I can smoke, vape, or even hit a bong on my house all I want. These are my damn rules. What makes it worse is the fact that I have discovered that she has 4 different hunting rifles in our house. Should I call someone?
Thank you so much for watching the video. For more videos like this, please subscribe.